going? My name is Leyla Seka. I run desk over at Salesforce. I've been at Salesforce for about 7 years. For the first 6 years, I built the App Exchange. Just some context on me. So I'm going to talk to you guys about how to look big when you're small, right? Which is something we perfected at Salesforce. Of course, now we're big, so it doesn't really work as well, but back in the day. And I'm going to talk to you about some customers that are doing this really, really well, right? If you think about companies like Munchery or Lyft or BarkBox or Hotel Tonight, these are all small companies that are doing interesting things to change the industries they're in by providing unbelievable service next to their product, right? But these are not giant companies with tons of people, right? These are small companies that need to figure out a way to look big, even though they're small, and to provide the customer service along with their product that helps them differentiate and win with the competitors. So I'm going to kind of talk about this on 3 main things. The first one is really how do you deliver fast, awesome customer service right out the gate, right? How do you make sure that the second your product's out there, your service is right next to it, and that's as important to your brand as the product you're putting out. Second thing is how to use what your customers are telling you to do a better job in your company. And this is something I've seen time and time again. Your customers will tell you almost everything you need to know about what you need to do to move your business forward if you listen, right? And then the third one is how to optimize the customer experience. So we'll get into that. I'm going to walk you guys through a couple case studies and take you in a bit more detail. So, I mean, this all seems really basic, like answer the phone, answer email, respond, try to actually act like a person and not a robot when you respond so people engage with you and engage with your brand. And then this notion of engagement. But I'm going to talk to you about it in a little bit more of a specific way, and I'm going to use a great company as an example. So hopefully some of you guys have heard of Munchery. It's basically you take your phone out, you order dinner, and it comes to your door, right? Now, if you think about Munchery as a company, you order dinner, that arrives within, let's say, a 2-hour window. The service surrounding that needs to be cool and hot, right? You need to be right there. You need to be able to listen. The Munchery people need to be listening to what the customers want. They have to stay alert to things that they've learned about the customer before, like nut allergies or different stuff like that that they put in the customer's profile. They do all this in a service solution, right? And they manage all that interaction. So if you talk to Conrad, who's this co-founder of Munchery, he'll tell you that they run Munchery on a service solution. They run it on desk, but that's not here or there. They run it on a service solution. And if you think about the fact that they've grown 400% in the last 6 months, they credit a good amount of that growth to the fact that they respond almost immediately to customers when they're asking them questions, right? So it doesn't sound like brain surgery, but they realized really quickly that if they weren't paying attention and they weren't listening, they were going to fail miserably, and they made sure that that didn't happen. Another interesting thing, and this is kind of to the next point, which is leveraging customer insights, but this is so quirky, I'm going to tell you. Munchery found out that if they added kale to a dish, it sold more. Right? And so this is a weird, I mean, if you think about the way we're all eating kale right now, it's like potato chips back in the day. But like, you know, that's an interesting insight that they derived. Simply adding kale made the thing go bigger. They figured out other things, like in Seattle, they don't eat as much fish as you do in San Francisco. But again, these are things that help them kind of think about their business longer term, not just the day-to-day customer support interaction, but leveraging the data to do more, which is really what this section's about, right? Leveraging the data your customers are giving you to make better decisions, to make sure that you're on top of it, and doing that in an innovative way and then bringing that information back out to your customers. Let me explain what I mean. There's a company in the city, it's called Zen Payroll. It's awesome, right? They're disrupting the payroll industry, which is a very, very old, kind of the way it is payroll industry. What they do is so awesome because basically they use all of the information coming into their support center to feed their product roadmap. Their product teams sit down every couple of weeks with the support team and they look through the support center to see what are people talking about, what do people like, what are people complaining about, where are we seeing. They leverage that information and then they use it to drive what they do for their customers next. Now you can imagine not only that they're building great product and you know, paying attention, but they're responding to their customers. This is powerful stuff. And you know, we learned this at Salesforce a long time ago. We created a community around Salesforce. I ran that for some time. And I'd argue with you that that is the most important thing about Salesforce, is the community that sits around it, right? If you can create a community as a small company, even if it's a small one, but you create active listeners in it, they eventually become your brand evangelists. And you know, it's very interesting to stand up and say, I'm great. But it's way more interesting when someone else stands up and says, I'm great, right? And that's what you do when you figure out a way to listen to your customers and actually respond back. And a support system can and should help you do that. The next thing, and you heard this from Bill and many other people, you got to know how you're doing, right? I mean, if you're not paying attention to how you're performing, then you're not really doing a very good job. And this is definitely a Salesforce thing too. We pretty much don't do anything without metrics, and neither should you. But you should figure out what metrics make the most sense for your business, right? CSAT for sure, but it used to be back in the support days that everything was like, how fast are you answering the ticket? How fast are you answering the ticket? I'm not sure. That's important to look at, but how well are you answering the ticket is a far more interesting metric than how quickly you're doing it. Look, we all use products, right? How many times have I gotten pissed? I hate calling support. When I have to call support, that's like, I've failed. I have to call a 1-800 number. And I expect bad service. This is terrible, but I expect to be disappointed. How amazing is it when a company does not disappoint me? Those are the companies I buy more from. Those are the companies I'm interested in, and it's the same for all your buyers, right? So you have to figure out what those metrics are and then live by them. BarkBox, there's a box for everything these days. Box of hair things, box of dog things, whatever you want. BarkBox delivers a box for your dog, right? And so, and talk about a company that's figured out how to bring some personality into their brand. They literally respond to their emails with possum or muchas gracias. I mean, it sounds crazy, I realize, but this makes their customers love them. Their customers send them possum pictures of their dogs, and they make up all these types of things and all this stuff. And because of the way they've driven customer experience at BarkBox and the way they've forced relationships with their customers through personalization, through getting to know people's dogs, through caring, they have an incredibly loyal customer base. And here's another random example of information you can get from your support system that helps you do things. They figured out that service dogs, seeing eye dogs, those dogs can't get animals or can't get toys that look like animals, because then they get conditioned to go chase squirrels. And you don't want someone to chase a squirrel when they're helping someone onto BART, right? They figured that out from their support center because one of the boxes had a squirrel animal in it or something. And a whole bunch of people with service dogs were like, yeah, this isn't working, this isn't working. So now they figured out a way to tag it in their support system, and those dogs never get those types of things, right? So I'm just showing you different ways. Now, all of these companies are pretty small. They're not big companies, but if you look at the way they do support, no one would know, right? This team in particular, they have an incredibly small support team. They answer most of their tickets within a 2-hour SLA, and they do it in this very personalized, muchas gracias, I love you kind of way that makes their customers very indebted to them. So, I mean, you have to figure out a way, if you're a small company, how are you going to service people and make it feel big? I had some friends, they used Desk. They were 2 people. They answered, they're like CEO, CTO. They answered all the tickets themselves. Like we'd be at the bar, they're on the phone answering tickets. We're walking to the bar, they're answering the phone, answering tickets. But that's just 2 guys, and everyone thought they had a 20-person support team because they paid attention to this stuff. They customized how they responded. They listened to their customers. They went back on the roadmap and said, look, we listened to you, we fixed these things. They had the right metrics in place. They drove to customer success, and the metrics are staggering when you get this done. I mean, let me tell you this. It is way easier to keep a customer you have than to get a new one. And if you want to keep a customer you have got to pay attention to the support experience. It's no longer good enough to have the right product. That's great. But if you don't have the right support sitting right next to that product and the right plan for support, whether that be the CEO and the CTO answering tickets or a little support team or the marketing team answering them, whatever it might be, you need to set forth what you're going to do and make sure you get it done. And if you do that, you can be a very small shop and get very big results on the support side. Thank you.